Hi, Alex. Welcome.
Hi.
For anyone who's new here, this is Alexander Wu. Alex, you are a TKS alumni. Can you give us a brief introduction of who you are, your background, what your experience has been in TKS, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah, for sure. I did TKS really, really early. So back in 2017, 2018, I think that was one of their first cohorts in Toronto. Yeah, I'm from Toronto, went to high school there, did TKS in grade 12 and grade 11 of my high school. And then, yeah, since then, went to college in San Francisco, ended up dropping out, starting a startup. And then last year we got that startup acquired by Coinbase, and then now working on a new startup. So that's a quick summary, I guess, of the past few years for me.
Wow. Super exciting. And what a change from Toronto to San Francisco. Love
Yeah.
that. Well, just diving into the background, what were you like before you joined TKS? Like, what were some of your fears? What's something that you really enjoyed and were passionate about before joining TKS?
Yeah, I guess before TKS, I was probably just more focused on school. I mean, obviously, everyone joining TKS has this desire to want to do more, try to learn more, and do cool things. But yeah, I think for me, it was just like focusing on school, and I guess the peers around me I had at the time were focused on. I think at least in high school, it seems like the main thing is getting good grades and also like doing extracurriculars. And it's like the classic like volunteering somewhere or starting some sort of like nonprofit. So that was probably kind of where my head was at before joining TKS. Yeah, one thing I really enjoyed was just like the people that you get to meet in TKS. I think, yeah, they really inspire you and they really put you kind of think bigger and think about doing more things. At least the peers in my cohort and the friends that I made in TKS were all working on really, really cool things, doing stuff in research labs or just hacking on things in the garage or, building startups at the time as well. And yeah, and it's kind of, that really made me think about what I'm doing and why am I, just trying to get good grades when there's like a world of possibility out there. That seemed like, only things that were up available to kind of like some a tier of or like some older kids or something like that. When I realized, no, actually, it's very possible for me to do that today.
So cool. And did you find it kind of a hard pivot going the non-traditional route and choosing not to just focus on grades, but also like build something for yourself?
No, I think the good thing about TKS is it makes it feel very natural because everyone else is kind of doing the same thing as well. So yeah, I think whereas before I guess you view these activities as something that's out of the ordinary. When you're in an environment where all your peers are doing the same thing, it becomes kind of the norm, which is really inspiring as well.
Curious, like what drew you to TKS in the first place? Like how did you hear about it?
Yeah, well, I think I was trying. So I think back in high school, I was trying to, learn things on my own and go to these kind of like free courses. I think like the Toronto Public Library had a few courses on coding and other places had a few courses on whatever. So I was looking for these programs, and I think a friend told me about they found TKS, and it seems like it would be a really cool place to learn about these like cutting edge technologies that were being developed and learning more about like science and stuff like that. So that's probably how I first heard about it when my friend told me about it.
All right, so diving a little bit into your experience at TKS, can you tell me about a moment at TKS that really pushed you to go outside of your comfort zone?
Yeah. Um, I feel like that happens kind of like every session because I feel like there are, yeah, because I guess like it kind of just like challenges, what you expect of yourself, I guess. Because, I kind of alluded to this earlier, but you kind of see yourself as like a student who, is just like a kid, right? Who can't, like who goes down the traditional path of getting to college. And I think in every session, you're kind of challenged to think about things or learn about things that you previously didn't really think that you had the right or qualification to think about. So, it's like, oh, you haven't finished grade 12 calculus. Why are you learning about quantum mechanics, right? That's, don't I need to learn about, don't I need to finish grade 11 physics to be able to do that? Isn't quantum mechanics a kind of college thing? And I think when you're a kid that, yeah, that you kind of have these like mental blockers on yourself. And yeah, I think in every session, it was like pushing you to kind of, no, actually, like, why can't you learn about these really interesting topics?
Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of wondering, now that you've gone on and started all of your companies, you've done Utopia Lab, and you're also working on another one, as you mentioned. So you've done a ton of incredible things. What's one thing that you would like to highlight, or you'd say you're super proud of right now?
Um, yeah, I guess the most recent thing is I ended up kind of quitting my job and going back into startups. I feel like yeah, so yeah, after my last startup, so I started that startup 4 years ago. I built it for 3 years, and we finally, had some sort of like outcome with the acquisition. And Most acquisitions are structured so that if you leave early, you kind of give up everything. I was kind of like in a little bit of a dilemma where I was deciding whether I should stay for, a certain amount of time to be able to see any of the rewards that I've gotten, or if I should kind of leave early and maybe try my hand again at starting something new. And I think for me, I mean, it was, I feel like whenever people told me about, oh, it's like hard to like quit my job and start a startup, and back when I was doing the startup, they tell me that, and I'd be like, oh, like is it that hard? And then I realized that wait, actually, it is. Like it's difficult thinking about kind of jumping back into something new again, especially when you have something that's so, that's very comfortable to kind of stay in. I guess it was a bit of a surprising experience for me because, given given the fact that I dropped out, sort of startup already, I was a bit surprised that it was also difficult for me to kind of make that leap again. Um, but yeah, I think ultimately did make that leap and then kind of jumped into something new. So the first startup I built was in like the fintech crypto payments industry. So it was very, very different than what I'm doing right now. So not only did I kind of jump back or quit the kind of acquisition and go back into doing startups, but it was in a whole new industry doing something like I was like totally like super unfamiliar with. So yeah, I think that's probably the latest thing that I feel like yeah was definitely something that I'm glad I did.
I actually really love that. And I love that you highlight the fact that it was kind of the same experience, but also different, like starting all over again, but like harder this time. And so it was a new learning experience. And yeah, like sometimes people tell you it's gonna be a hard shift and you don't really believe them, but it truly was. And I'm really glad to hear like it ended up being a successful experience for you. So that's awesome. And what part of your journey would you say was the hardest? Like, what is something that you really, really had to overcome and you're still overcoming?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess in terms of like speaking about my recent experience, it would probably be just as I mentioned through that experience, just like having the courage to kind of like start something new. Just kind of like giving up a lot of a lot of like monetary and also just kind of like social reward and just being able to kind of go back into doing like starting from scratch again. And yeah, no, like I think that was probably the biggest one. The I mean other challenges are well around just learning a whole new industry and just kind of like forcing your way through and trying to get as deep as you can into something totally new. I think that's been also yeah, something really, really fun, but also challenging as well.
Great. All right. Now, I kind of want to ask a little bit more about how TKS shaped your direction going forward, into industry, into the workforce, and just wondering, like, now that you've been exposed to like all sorts of emerging tech and real world challenges that you've probably done your focus projects, and mentorship through the directors. So, what part of the TKS experience made the biggest difference for you?
Yeah. I would say the community and the people, I feel like, I mean, the friends I made at TKS or through TKS are still some of my closest friends today. And Yeah, I think, I guess like now that I'm kind of like on this startup journey again, or like the early startup journey again, I should say, the one thing I feel like that stuck with me is around just, yeah, being really, yeah, just like thinking big. I feel like, there are a lot of like I mean a lot of founders obviously in San Francisco, and there are different ways about thinking a company. Do I want to start a company that that just gets a lot of traction? Do I want to start a company that makes a lot of money? Do I want to start a company that helps people? Do I want to start a company that there are a lot of different motivations to start a company, and I feel like for me, what I take away from I feel like that was something that I took away from TKS was around solving like really big important problems. So I think yeah, for me that's been always something that kind of, I feel like has stayed with me. So thinking about like okay, does this actually change things in the world in a meaningful way? So yeah, okay, it could be a good business. You might be able to make a lot of money from this, but like if I spend the next decade of my life building this, like, do I think the world is going to substantially change from my contributions in this way? Or am I just accumulating a lot of, wealth? And I think for me, that's been something that I feel like was definitely something that I picked up during TKS because I think there's a lot of focus on solving some of the world's like most important challenges yeah, and like kind of themes of that sort. So yeah, I feel like that's been something that I've taken away.
So interesting. Actually, I really love hearing that. That's exactly what we're here for, is to help students find that courage and to be exposed to those mindsets and just take the leap, to be honest. And your journey is such a good example of that. Um, and so my next question would be, looking back to 5 years ago, Alex, what is something that you would say to yourself or an advice you'd give to yourself right now?
Yeah. Um, I think yeah, 5 years ago, that was I guess right when COVID happened, huh? I think for me, the advice I'd give is probably kind of true, um, even like three years ago as well. Is just to kind of have a lot more confidence in yourself. I think that a lot of the things that I realize I shouldn't have done or should have done differently stemmed from my kind of like maybe lack of confidence in like a direction or my abilities or something of that sort. And usually when I like kind of trust that I'm able to kind of see something through or maybe be able to kind of deal with uncertainty better. Yeah, usually I feel like I made the right choice in that circumstances. So I feel like sometimes when you, don't really like aren't really comfortable with uncertainty and, there is high uncertainty or when you don't really kind of muster kind of courage to do something, you might be able to kind of be a little bit more short-sighted. So you might kind of latch onto something that might not be kind of what you're actually super interested in or you might do something that you feel like is better for kind of your short-term growth, but maybe not your long-term growth. So I feel like they're just like small things like that that I feel like if I had maybe a little bit more, yeah, a little bit more confidence in kind of what the direction I was going in, that I wouldn't have made those kind of short-term choices.
Thing you're saying is like so wise. I think I need to start implementing that in my own life as well. How do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years, and what's a goal you have? And lastly, what is a piece of advice you'd give to current TKS students or incoming TKS students?
Yeah. Yeah, my next 5 to 10 years, I think for me, as I mentioned recently, kind of got back into the startup journey. So, my orientation right now is all around starting a company that I think will be really impactful in the energy space. So, something that will help create a future of like very abundant, very cheap, very clean power. So I'm hoping that in the next 5 to 10 years, I would have started a company that would meaningfully impact the industry, and that will, yeah, hopefully bring us a lot of the way step closer into just more abundant, cheaper, cleaner power. And yeah, I think that's one goal as well. Yeah, also I think for me, like in the next 5 to 10 years, ideally, I guess that's kind of when I should like start a family as well. So I think that's another goal in my mind too. Um, yeah, the advice I would have for current TCAS students, I feel like would probably just resonate with kind of what I said earlier about the advice I give to myself, as just like kind of have the confidence and have the courage to do things. I feel like a lot of times when, something I mentioned earlier about being ambitious and thinking big, a lot of the times that you don't think big or you aren't ambitious, I feel like comes from a fear that you're not able to kind of accomplish your own goals. So I think people tend to think small and tend to kind of maybe not do certain things that are really ambitious or big or something that they feel more excited about because they think, oh, that's too risky. Like I'm not going to succeed if I do that. I should pick something small that is maybe more achievable. And I think that yeah, if you're able to really kind of build up a level of confidence in yourself, then those things actually do become something that you're able to achieve. Um, so yeah, I'll probably give that advice to students right now.
So thinking long term and having the confidence and the courage to do what you really want to do and just
Yeah.
sticking with it.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to building up confidence. And I guess there are a few ways to do that, but I think yeah, it's kind of like unique to everyone as well.
And what's worked best for you to build up that confidence other than like pushing yourself to go outside of your comfort zone? Like what's something maybe you do in your daily life that kind of adds to it?
Yeah, I feel like there are just a lot of small things like put together. Like I think one thing is that, kind of like changing your kind of like subconscious responses to certain triggers. I feel like, there like if you kind of like are aware kind of your own thoughts, you start to realize that you have certain responses that might be kind of counterproductive to certain things. So, when you make a mistake, like how does your mind react to that? When set yourself set a goal for yourself, you don't accomplish that, how does your mind react to that? And then being able to kind of change those reactions so that you're motivated and you're kind of like excited and joyful to be able to do better and improve versus you kind of feel like you're dejected or you feel like you're kind of yeah, like really frustrated. I think to improve, I think that makes a lot of difference as well. And I think the other thing to build confidence is just to set goals that you didn't think you could achieve, and then just like it could be something small, but it's something that you didn't think you could achieve, and then just achieving them, and then be able to kind of like build up that just for yourself, this background of like things that, oh wait, I didn't think I could do that, and then I end up doing that, and then just continually doing that over and over again. And this can be very small things. I'm not saying something big. It could be like, oh, I didn't think I could, run, um, you know, 10 kilometers in the next like 2 weeks, and then I end up doing that, and that's like, wow, like I didn't know I had the capability of doing so, or I didn't know I could do like 100 pull-ups, yeah, or like it doesn't have to be something that's like intellectual. It could just be something that in your everyday life. Or I didn't know I could. Yeah, it seems like very ambitious to be able to kind of like finish this course, this like MIT course on whatever, and I ended up finishing it, and that gives me a lot of confidence, and I think doing those small things will help kind of yeah, give yourself the confidence and the courage to do like bigger things as well.
So I really love that, and I think your advice definitely resonates. It resonates with me, and I hope that it will resonate with everyone else at TKS and people who can be watching the podcast and learning more about you.